Is it possible that arlong is a representation of emu? Is the water an actual ability in the story? Through looking at all this, I might have found out what the national treasure of Mary Geoise is. The most recent chapter also brought so much evidence for this theory, so go read chapter 1089 before you watch this. Now let's jump right into this rabbit hole. Hard pause. I was thinking about the cool villains of One Piece who have grand ambitions and what they need to accomplish them. But what about Arlong? Arlong wanted to create a map of all the seas so that he could rule the world. He specifically says, for me to rule the world, Nami's maps are a necessity. She will keep drawing maps for the sake of my ambition. And once I have all the maps of the seas in the world, no one will be able to stand against me. The whole world will be mine.
Stop the cap! Stop the cap right now! Stop the cap!
What do you mean, Arlong? A map of the world would stop anyone from going against you? Haha, good one, Oda. You really had us going there for a second in the East Blue. But hold up, let's look at Arlong's past and what made him come to the conclusion to start creating maps of all the seas in the entire world. Arlong grew up on Fishmen Island with his half-sister Charlie and hated humans. He later joined the Sun Pirates and sailed with Fisher Tiger. After Fisher Tiger died, he was sent to Impel Down but was pardoned and freed because Jinbei had become one of the warlords of the sea. He left the Sun Pirates with a few fishmen to go conquer the East Blue, believing fishmen to be his superior race over humans. So Arlong should have some expertise of the Grand Line while he was a part of the Sun Pirates. After going through all that, what made him think that creating maps would allow him to rule the world? I think it's because he can use his knowledge about the sea to create whirlpools. He has demonstrated before that by moving boulders, fishmen can sink battleships easily. So if fishmen knew what the terrain was and altered it, whether it be through boulders or some other means to create whirlpools, they would be unstoppable anywhere in the seas. Why might there be an emphasis on whirlpools? We know Arlong went to Impel Down, so he might have been delivered there from Enies Lobby and experienced the giant whirlpool created by the opening and closing of the Gates of Justice, which inspired him to create his own whirlpools, any place at any time, by moving large boulders. So if he could map out and learn everything about the sea, he could use whirlpools to his advantage to conquer the world. Arlong? Being smart? Oda even said in an SBS talking about swirls how the whole One Piece universe runs on swirls. These swirls or whirlpools are very important in One Piece. Even recently, the man marked by flames can create whirlpools. Go check out Parvision's theory on who he thinks is the man marked by flames because I would love to see that character come back. I won't spoil, so go check that out. So why do I say that Arlong connects with Emu? Well, first, we need to talk about Doflamingo. Doflamingo knows about the national treasure of Mary Geoise, but this panel by panel sequence shows that Doflamingo was first interested in the personality swap rather than the immortality surgery first. So it seems that he wants to use the personality swap before he uses the immortality surgery. This could also be foreshadowing that Nerona Emu is actually the one from the Void Century, except with a twist. Their body was probably taken over by someone else, similar to how Doflamingo would swap out his body for someone else's and then become eternally youthful with the immortality surgery. So now the big question is, who would that person be? Well, if we assume that Doflamingo has been planning this since childhood, he probably wanted to get his hands on a certain person, or should I say a certain race. This person is probably part of the Doflamingo family if he has been planning this for a long time. Go ahead, take your guesses in right now. Write them down in the comments and see if you got it right. That person would be Dellinger. Wait, hold up, you might be saying. How does this make any sense? Well, first, I need to explain what the national treasure of Mary Geoise is, for the reasoning behind why Doflamingo wants to transfer himself into a fishman. I think the national treasure of Mary Geoise is a map of the world. Arlong might have been right in believing that fishmen could rule the world if they had a map of all the seas. The more I talk, the more and more I sound like Arlong. We might have already seen this map in the possession of Emu, which would be when they crossed off Levusia from the map. The map could have magical properties, but would allow Emu to have control over everyone since the Void Century. The world government even conquered a small part of the ocean by creating the Gates of Justice, which has a giant whirlpool in the middle. Meaning that if they put this on a grander scale, they would be able to travel faster anywhere and subdue any rebelling nation with their military might. So Doflamingo, knowing that the national treasure of Mary Geoise is a map, probably wants to become a fishman in order to take over the world. Dellinger was raised for all 16 years by the Doflamingo family, starting from his infancy. Out of the 100 kids that wanted to join Doflamingo's crew, an infant Dellinger was able to join the crew along with Buffalo and Baby 5. Doflamingo might have gotten lucky to get a fishman on his crew, or maybe he was planning it from the start. But not just any fishman. Dellinger is a half-human, half-fighting fish fishman. If you don't know what fighting fishes are, they have a head of a bull-like fish with fangs and a crazy look in their red and yellow eyes. Bulls and sharks have a lot of connections. One of them would be the Rabuka bull in Water 7, which looks like a shark, but is called a bull. Additionally, Rabuka in Japanese means frilled shark, so Dellinger, being a fighting fish, would not only connect with sharks, but also bulls. Many bulls in One Piece have double-layered eyes, something not only Mihawk and Cavendish have, but also Emu. Go check out Parvision's theory, where he explains how celestial dragons have fishman lineage, since it goes really well with this one. There are a ton of connections between fishmen and celestials. And wouldn't it be poetic that Doflamingo, a celestial dragon, switches body with a strong half-human, half-fighting fish fishman, which would represent double-layered eyes like Emu, who would then be able to take over the world with the world map. Doflamingo is really sounding out to be like Orochimaru. But that's not all. Do you know what Dellinger means? Dellinger is German for dayspring. Dayspring is an archaic way of saying the dawn. If you haven't seen my other short where I talked about Luffy being the moon key from Monkey, you know I talked about Doflamingo being the dawn key from Don Quixote. So in a way, Dellinger, which means dawn, might be the key to making Doflamingo the ruler of the world. When Dellinger becomes bloodthirsty, his irises grow wide and red, similar to those of the fighting fish, and the way Arlong's eyes change when they are angered, as well as those from the Lord of the Coast. Ain't that crazy? Dellinger and Arlong also have the same moveset of headbutting, drawing a connection between these two. But this is odd because the fighting fishes have double-layered eyes, but Arlong and Dellinger don't. Mihawk was shown before Arlong, and Cavendish, who has double-layered eyes when he fuses with Hakuba, was in the same arc as Dellinger. Dellinger was defeated and speed blitzed by Hakuba as well. So why does Dellinger have double-layered eyes when he gets angered like the fighting fishes? Fighting fishes are not real in our world, but Dellinger is the only fishman not based on a fish in the real world. Why did Oda choose Dellinger to be this species, which specifically has double-layered eyes in the story? Did Oda intend to give these characters double-layered eyes to represent they are possessed by something? I don't think so. When I was comparing energy steroids to the mink Sulong form in my Afro video, there's one detail that differentiates each one from one another. It's that the fishmen don't get double-layered eyes. I don't think Oda would go this many chapters without giving an explanation as to why these fishmen don't receive double-layered eyes, but their eyes change differently. Fishmen seem adept at controlling large sea monsters and possess a unique capacity to bring out their primal rage in such creatures. This ability was first demonstrated when Arlong introduced Momu into a primal frenzy to have him attack the Straw Hats during the battle at Arlong Park. Despite Momu's initial reservations about doing so, Momu is a cow sea beast, literally connecting bulls to sharks because of Arlong. The ability was shown again in more detail when Hody and to a more limited extent the officers of his crew that the new fishmen pirates had in their possession into a similar rage to the one created by the energy steroids they had been eating. They aren't accessing ancestral memories like the minks, so I think that they have this ability when they get angry, originating from being fishmen. We only see fishmen get angry or bloodthirsty and get a power boost from it. It could be a fishman specific thing, but let me know why you might think this happens with fishmen and their eyes. These kinds of eyes remind me of Moria, who may have fishman lineage with those teeth and weird body shape. When Moria used Shadow's Asgard, these red eyes show up similar to the energy steroids that the fishmen use. Moria also has this angry face before he uses Shadow Asgard, similar to Arlong and Dellinger. Before he used Shadow Asgard, he talks about the immortal, infinite army he possesses with his Devil Fruit ability. This might connect with the immortality surgery Doflamingo is interested in, and how Doflamingo was the one who attacked Gecko Moria and Marineford, knowing about someone higher up than Sengoku. Look at that evil smile. He probably knows what Emu and the Gorosei want with Moria. Gecko Moria could be a candidate for ruling the world because he could be a fishman and is capable of creating immortal zombie armies. Doflamingo might have wanted Gecko Moria's body if he had the chance, but I guess Emu called dibs first. But why did Oda choose sharks out of all animals? Most of the fishmen we have seen have been sharks. Jinbei as a whale shark, Arlong as a saw shark, Madame Charlie as a short fin mako shark, Ukaboshi as a shark merman, Vanderdecken as a Japanese bullhead shark, and Hody Jones as a great white shark, as well as many others. Oda even said that Zoro would be a shark, with him drawing the shark in a cover page as a three-sword style shark. In chapter 661, not only do sharks show up to pull Zoro underwater, Law's personality switch was first seen. Oda, all the way in chapter 2, had Luffy encounter a whirlpool, and the very next chapter, chapter 3, the second cover page, was Luffy riding a shark, and in that chapter, Zoro was introduced. So let's dive into why Oda might have chosen sharks, because sharks are definitely important in One Piece. The Sunny has a Shark Submerged 3, which is a small 3-man submarine shaped like a shark, which Frankie built. The only thing I found interesting was 3 devil fruit users went inside when they first used it in chapter 490 when they were searching for Fishman Island. Oh, and I was there too in this chapter. But Usopp, you don't have to say that about me. So maybe sharks have something to do with devil fruits. I think this might be the case because on Egghead, we get introduced to Vegapunk's giant shark that was about to eat the 1000 Sunny. The shark is also labeled 03, similar to the Shark Submerged 3. Lilith also says that this one was a failure and that overriding primal desires is impossible. Oh, and what's that? The Straw Hats used something to attack the shark? What was it called? The rabbit screw propeller. Kinda like an inversion of what happened to Frankie's shark machine. When Frankie's submarine encountered a sea bunny which attacked the shark, Vegapunk's shark encountered the Straw Hats, which had a rabbit screw propeller, which then attacked the shark. I don't think this is a coincidence either. When Luffy punched the sea bunny, Kami and Papaga came out of the sea bunny. And similarly, Bonnie came out of the warm eddy, probably running away from this giant shark. Again, another inversion. So maybe Kami and Bonnie have some connection. But I want to talk about more of an important line that Papaga said. He said that he was a starfish that believed he was human, so he began to talk because of his belief. Papaga says to never underestimate willpower, the world runs on it. Doesn't this sound familiar? Isn't this the energy source that Vegapunk mentions? Vegapunk probably understands that willpower is the ultimate energy source since he's been researching devil fruits and desire, but probably doesn't know how to harness it properly. Rabbits and waves are also connected to one another. Oda in an SBS talked about a story where some rabbits ran out of food and they tricked some fish into lining up so they would cross the sea on the fish's back. This part would be similar to the sea bunny, which had a rabbit upper half and a fish lower half. This story was made because they saw leaping rabbits in the white waves. Oda took inspiration from this and even put bunny waves that the Sunny was on top of. If you want to hear more about rabbits, check out my carrot video and how she might get Bonnie's devil fruit on my channel. Now let's talk about the latest chapter, chapter 1089. If you saw my reaction, you can tell I was more than excited to get this video out. Now I can spill all my guts here. Let's talk about some important things in the chapter, like how the first panel is Fuchsia Village, and if you go back to chapter 1, you will see cows. The cover page on 1089 was a cow that's delivering a message from Sanji. This could connect back to Saint Saturn who showed up this chapter, who is supposed to have some bull or cow transformation. I'm telling you, these connections are insane. But there's something even more crazy in this chapter. What is Nami doing on the cover page? She's drawing sea charts. Sanji is also writing a love letter to Nami, and in Dressrosa, he said that love is a hurricane. This could tie back to whirlpools. Could this cover page foreshadow everything in One Piece? And when the flooding happens, what does Oda choose to do? He chose a shark to be in someone's house. Why would he mention a shark this chapter if it wasn't important? Now remember how Lilith said that maybe overriding primal desire was impossible? Well, this chapter, the Straw Hats overcame York, or in other words, overcame desire figuratively, probably through the amount of willpower or hockey they have. It's alright guys, you can like the video and close your jaws now. See what I did there? I forgot to mention this, but fighting fish are related to the giant goldfish at Little Garden. And do you know what the giant goldfish was called? It was called an island eater. Isn't that basically what happened to Lulusia? The whole island got engulfed by the mother flame and disappeared off the face of the world. As you can see, chapter 1089 is really important, so I scavenged for more hidden details. I found this panel where you might see a rabbit in the waves, which seems intentional because why would you draw waves in that specific way if it wasn't important for an important chapter? But I could be reaching. Food is also important this chapter, with everyone eating. Kizaru, Sentomaru, Saint Saturn, and all the Straw Hats are eating. Food also connects with sharks too, because in chapter 442, the Straw Hats had found a horned shark which they put in their aquarium, and would later eat all the fish kept there. That same chapter, they encountered a barrel which was supposed to be an offering to a sea god to have a safe voyage. These aren't the first time we see offering barrels. In Jinbei's cover story, he encounters Wadasume, who destroyed 2 towns due to his carelessness. but at his feet are offering barrels, which are the same ones found in chapter 442. This actually relates to the Japanese folklore of the umibozu, which means sea priest or sea monk. Normally, umibozu appears to sailors on calm seas, which quickly turn tumultuous. It either breaks the ship on emergence or demands a bucket or barrel from the sailors and proceeds to drown them. The only safe way to escape an umibozu is to give it a bottomless barrel and sail away while it is confused. Usopp even mistakes Watasume as an umibozu, but I think we have seen the actual umibozu before in One Piece. At the end of Thriller Bark, a mysterious shadow appears in the mist. Funny how the sea became tumultuous as soon as they opened the barrel, starting the Thriller Bark arc. And at the end of Thriller Bark, an umibozu appeared. And you know what's more crazy? The end of Thriller Bark, the same chapter where the sea bunny and shark submarine appeared at the red line. At the end of that same chapter, with the horned shark and barrels, Brook was also introduced, which is the start of Thriller Bark. Do you know what Brook's Soul King guitar was? Take a wild guess. Yup, it's a shark. So maybe souls have something to do with sharks. And with all this talk about willpower and desire, I think it's pointing us into the direction of devil fruits. So what if these devil fruit powers originate from some fishmen or merfolk lineage? This part is speculative because we don't know where devil fruits come from, but I'll try to play with some interesting ideas here. Maybe when devil fruit users are submerged in water, they can't swim because they lost the memory to do so, and the water saps their energy. It's as if the water is pulling their bodies to fall asleep while their mind is awake. After digging through some shark facts, I stumbled upon this one. Did you know that some fish don't sleep, and some animals like sharks need to keep moving in the water to breathe and stay alive? Usually, fishes undergo unihemispheric sleep, where they put one half of their brain to sleep at a time. Now let's look at the only fishman we know in the story who has a devil fruit and sank in the water. That person would be Jack from the Beast Pirates. He is specifically a giant grouper fishman, and what do you know, they don't sleep either. These grouper fish rest against rocks, bracing themselves and remain motionless in the water during the night. Shark fishmen like Jinbei sleeping might debunk the fact that sharks or fishes in general don't sleep in the One Piece world, but I think there's some connections to devil fruits here. Even film Red includes sleep. Usually, Oda likes to use films to foreshadow what will happen next in the manga. So in film Red, Uta uses her Sing Sing devil fruit to put everyone who listens to her voice to sleep, sending their soul to her dream world. Blackbeard talks about the true body of devil fruit users, specifically for Logias. So just like Uta's powers, what if the devil fruit user's true body gets sent to some other realm when they go into the water, sapping their energy and putting their true body to sleep? Now I could be rambling, but it's something interesting to think about. Oda has interestingly told us that Blackbeard cannot sleep. It could be that Blackbeard might be some form of shark fishman because it is stated that he doesn't sleep, and if he does, he could die, similar to a shark. This is just an idea I'm throwing out there since we have not seen Blackbeard shirtless, so he might be hiding his gills, which could be near the neck or the sides of his chest. Even the two biggest sleepers on the Straw Hat crew, Luffy and Zoro, are the ones that identified Blackbeard as someone unique. Krakens and sharks are also connected for the people who believe Blackbeard has 3 hearts. A great video for that is Threeville's Blackbeard is an octopus theory, so go check that one out. When talking about merfolk lineage, a shark and octopus were shown. Not only did Tsurume, a kraken, grab Shirahoshi's pet shark, Megalo, which connects sharks to krakens, but also Hody Jones, a great white shark, held Tsurume's family hostage. With this connection between sharks and octopus, I propose that Blackbeard is a bull shark because they are the most dangerous sharks, which not only connects with the remark of his devil fruit being the strongest devil fruit, but also connects bulls with sharks once again. Pizarro also has cow clothing on and has horns like a bull, so it wouldn't be surprising that a shark is nearby, which would be Blackbeard himself. It could also fit well with bulls in One Piece, which have double-layered eyes, because Blackbeard, who has ambitions to take over the world, would become a candidate to become king of the world, like Emu, Gecko Moria, or like Doflamingo, with Dellinger's half-fighting fish body. Gecko Moria is also currently captured by the Blackbeard pirates, so look out for what might happen to him next. Krakens in mythology are also capable of creating whirlpools, which could fit really well with Blackbeard being a shark fishman. So if Blackbeard has a kraken fruit and is able to get his hands on the world map, he could become the ruler of the entire world. Mermaids also have the ability to communicate with fish, which isn't seen in most fishmen. Jinbei, who has fishman and probably merfolk lineage, has the rare ability to communicate with whale sharks. Poseidon or Shirahoshi has a greater form of this and is able to communicate with sea kings, which are different from the sea beasts. This might connect to the voice of all things, which Luffy could hear when the Sea Kings were communicating. This could be the reason why the world government allows celestial dragons to get mermaids as an excuse, is to use them to make devil fruits because of their ability to communicate with fishes and their affinity with the voice of all things. Geoise was the one that was stuffed in her shark Magello as well, literally combining sharks and merfolk together. This could also connect back to the Sunny's shark machine, which had 3 devil fruit users inside of it. Now, I could be reading too much into this, but I definitely see a connection between sharks, merfolk, and devil fruits. In chapter 751, which includes a shark for the beginning of Jinbei's cover story, Shark Cutter Bastille has a weapon called Same Karibocho, which was destroyed by Sabo, who says his fingers are claws of a dragon, which connects back to the celestial dragon symbol and to sharks as well. Bastille's face mask has curved bull horns, and Usi was in this chapter, connecting back to bulls as well. Again, bulls and sharks seem to appear in the same chapter a lot. I will talk about bulls and cows again in another theory, which connects with the second thing I found important in chapter 1089, which surprisingly also connects back to sharks. Let me know in the comments if you found what I found. That's a little Easter egg hunt for y'all, so subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss it. Speaking of bells, Dellinger was the one told to get rid of Bellamy on Doflamingo's orders. So wouldn't it be ironic that similar to how Doflamingo wanted to get rid of Bellamy because he was useless to him, yet still followed Doflamingo after being mistreated, that an inversion happens where Doflamingo keeps Dellinger because he will be useful to him, even though he is prideful of his Doflamingo family. In both instances, they are both being manipulated by Doflamingo. A parallel to this would be Arlong killing Nami's mother, Bellamere. You might not remember this, but Bellamere decided not to put Nami and Nojiko up for adoption with the world government. So similar to Arlong, imagine what the world government would do with Nami's cartography skills. Also, Marineford has the Lloyd Ox Bell, which once again connects bells with cows and bulls. So now that we have talked about the National Treasure of Mary Joie being a world map and sharks all being connected to fishmen or Arlong, how are these two ideas connected? One cool theory by Daksake theorized that some form of light, like Foxy's undiscovered light particle, could somehow slow down the whole entire planet and create the Great Cleansing by causing a flood from the Earth's spin slowing down. This would make the people experience 100 years but not age a single day, while some people, like the people on Wano, Zo, and Skypiea, who are at a higher elevation, avoid the flood and experience those 100 years. So go check out that video since it has some interesting ideas in there. This specific SBS probably foreshadowed the ending for One Piece being flooded. This would cause whirlpools to form from the tidal waves crashing down, and the people that would benefit the most from this would be fishmen and merfolk with their ability to swim well in the water. How could a map of the world be useful? Usually, sea charts are used for navigation, but since the Grand Line is messed up, it wouldn't be that helpful, but everywhere else is able to be under control. All the 4 blues will be under control because all the locations are known, but the only thing unknown right now is the Grand Line, which is messed up and need log poses to be able to navigate it. Maybe the Ancient Kingdom messed up the navigation on the Red Line to hide the poneglyphs in Laugh-Tale so that the world government doesn't find it on the world map. That way, the only way to locate Laugh-Tale is until all of the 4 road poneglyphs are found. It could be that the world government actually fears fishmen because they have the capability of ruling the entire world if they possessed a map of the world. Now, I don't want to mention too much about chapter 1089 in case Dax wants to make an update video on it, but since chapter 1089 showed us the rising sea levels by 1 meter because of the mother flame, I think the flooding idea is very likely. Some type of flood might have occurred during the Void Century, and that would mean that the water has the properties of slowing down time. Arlong really wasn't lying. He really is the master of Zawater. Maybe Zawater was the One Piece the entire time.
Zawater.